We stopped writing a long time ago. Not many people write.
Who's we?
Word starts to spread. Jay doesn't actually write any of his rhymes down.
I found out that Jay wasn't writing. I didn't want to ever see a pen or paper again.
Wow.
DIY.
Okay, DIYers. So I saw this video here on YouTube from the New York Times, and they were discussing why rappers stopped writing. The Jay-Z method. Some may even call it. It's really interesting, all the folks that they cover. I myself am obviously a rapper of many, many years, Jay Kasai.
As well.
So do you write, first of all?
Yeah, I do both. I write, and I also do some freestyle, or I think me at my peak is doing a little bit of both.
I do feel like there's some benefits to not writing that I'm learning now at an older age of writing. But when I was younger, my memory just didn't work like that.
Mine still don't.
I'd read 4 words at a time and be like, what'd I say? It's in front of you. So I can't imagine the Jay-Z's and the Lil Waynes of the world. And they're going to talk about all this, but let's go ahead and get into this story and see what they're talking about.
I think a lot of people picture like modern rappers who really just like pen and paper in the studio, writing down their raps, you know, figuring it out, scratching it out, changing it.
Yeah, no. We stopped writing a long time ago. Not many people write.
Who's we? Who's we?
Chill.
Chill.
Back in the day when people were just using tape, you just had one take. So everybody had to be on point.
It used to be a time before the 24 track, for instance. If a singer went in, you had to sing that top to bottom, baby. You had to have it figured out.
Most music up until about 20 years ago was always recorded on tape. It's more of a process. It's a lot more laborious, a little bit more tedious.
That's low key me right now. Give me that big ass piece of paper. You hear that shit rumbling when you got your headphones? Like, is there a paper in front of him?
Man.
And Pac used to move too, so I can imagine how loud that was.
Pac giving a speech. Hey, we have 2 hours of studio time. Come here, prepare.
We don't have time or the luxury
Classic.
to spend all of this time doing one song. We don't have it.
Fast forward a little bit. Word starts to spread, mid to late 90s that Jay doesn't actually write any of his rhymes down.
I mean, so you literally come in the studio and then formulate sentences in your head. Yeah. And then spit it to that beat.
Why is he staring at him like this? I'd never noticed it. This man never breaks eye contact with him. He's thinking of a 16 right now.
Never write down the lyrics. Never.
Which leads to other rappers wanting to do the same thing.
I found out that Jay wasn't writing. I didn't want to ever see a pen or paper again.
Wow.
Hey, and for people who don't know, Lil Wayne's a different level of competitive. He wants to be the coldest man alive. He wants to be the best rapper on the planet. And if you and him put out the same quality verse, but yours wasn't written,
right,
he's going to take that personally.
It became personal with me.
What I know is when you see your hero can jump 7 feet, it makes you want to jump 8.
Remember the first time I met Ab-So, he came to my grandmother's patio. The homie of mine that invited him, shout out to Grim, he didn't tell me that this is his process. I thought he wasn't feeling the beat that I made. He just sitting in the back with his shades on like...
Crazy.
And he gets up and he says, all right, I'm ready. To do what, sir?
Look, when I tell you those experiences have me shook when they first happened.
Yeah.
I watched the Jay-Z and Rick Rubin video. Jay-Z's like... Yeah, all right, let's go.
So my question is, did that have an influence upon you at that moment of like, did you debate like, maybe this is where I should pivot because he was the guy at that point in time?
No, because I know how to freestyle off the top of my head. And I know what it sounds like. And I know what my written sounds like.
Yeah.
So for me, the first few years, I was like, I'll never be that guy. And that's okay.
That's okay.
But what I didn't know back then that I know now is that they are using the punch-in method. Most artists, not Jay-Z specifically, but they are doing a couple bars at a time, then going and doing a couple bars at a time, then going and doing a couple bars at a time. I thought they were like,
the whole song.
Turn on the beat. I was like, yeah, y'all crazy.
Hey, you different. Why you built like that?
Telling me you falling out of love with me.
I came up out the trenches, then I had...
Problem is that not all of them are as great or as capable of doing it.
That right there. Self-awareness.
Self-awareness is key. Shout out to Just Blaze. Self-awareness is very key. This is why I even try to get away from writing, is because when you're reading and you don't comprehend fully the tonality and the spaces, I do 2 things. 1, I tend to sound like I'm reading.
Yeah.
And 2, I end up not leaving the proper space and I get too wordy. We're in a generation where cadence seems to be king over everything else instead of just the lyrical content. I can see why that's such an appealing thing. And then when these artists are just checking off boxes and trying to get songs out, got time to write no novel.
Whether you write or you punch in, you should never be reading when you do the final version of a song.
Sure.
You need to have it memorized. You need to, whatever you're going to say, you need to already know what you're saying because you need to have your priorities be the cadence, the tone, the flow. You are recording a vocal. Yeah. And that's the number one priority.
Turn me up in my ear. Don't leave me that body. How about this break catching body? How about this break catching body?
God, you ever write raps down?
Hell no.
That's no pen, no pad. They're just going in and punching in.
Punch me.
Why was he offended by that?
People are so proud. They're more proud of the process than the product. That
Wait a
is
minute.
concerning.
No, you got to moonwalk back on that one. Wait a minute. What did you just say to me?
Artists are more proud of the process than the product.
Sheesh, what do you mean by that?
I don't care how cool you looked making the song if the song sucks. Damn. It doesn't matter how little you wrote.
Yeah.
If what's on paper after when I recorded what you made isn't good. You know, these sites like Rap Genius and all that. Let's talk about how many people are going to your page and reading your freestyle.
For what?
No one's doing that.
Is there a double entendre when he said, I'll get to it, get to it, get to it, get to it? See, the thing that you didn't understand, brothers, you got to pay more attention. Stay woke. The get to it, get to it, get to it is a triple entendre about the two getting. See, the get is the get.
The guy who we just said had 5 or 6 of the best verses of the year is still using physical paper. It's about the person, not the process.
Not the process. I was a bar.
Punching recording.
Punching 3 more bars.
I ain't never wrote raps. I just be rapping.
You
I
write
don't
or
know why.
you punch in?
I punch in. All right.
Today, Pro Tools is essentially like the pen and paper.
And that's where it becomes this different type of art form.
It's improvisational versus writing the stand-up piece. You know what I mean?
It's like freehand versus tracing.
Oh, okay.
Keep that part from me. Just punch me in now.
Why did somebody type the captions? Somebody had a field day making that news feed.
There's
shit
an
right
agenda.
There.
There's an agenda.
Like the fact that you got to go back and backspace and put him in the mission and in zen. You think that was a zen or a then? I don't know. That's crazy.
Why is
it still going?
The artist might not really have the song.
That whole scene could have been taken out.
Whatever point they was trying to make, I got it.
I got it.
Written. But they're not necessarily freestyling in the traditional sense where they're just going in and saying the first thing that comes to mind and they're doing that for 4 minutes straight.
You run back one more time. I'm trying to think of
Punching in like saying one bar at a time. I got these resin can't fold in the wallet. You making the peasant. I got these resin can't fit in the wallet. I'm stacking a bigger deposit.
One thing I didn't think about until I seen this video again is call me crazy. But maybe this is why so many live shows and rap suck.
Absolutely.
You're creating records that are specifically geared towards the first-time listener's experience and not towards, will this enhance a live show? When that's where you get the majority of your bread, it doesn't seem like a smart strategy. You haven't even left yourself enough space to know what this feels like to perform it in its entirety because you didn't record it in its entirety.
Right. It's not a fluid macro thought.
Right.
You're combining and smashing together micro thoughts.
You putting a bunch of tweets together and writing a book.
You glue together a bunch of toothpicks instead of getting a block of wood, and
Definitely one line at a time.
Hit the store and don't leave them dead bodies. Hit the store and don't leave them dead bodies. Hit the mall and don't leave them dead bodies.
Damn.
Hit the store and don't leave them dead bodies. You say the net bar. Then you say the bar thing.
So what did you leave? Something I forgot.
All together, you sound like a whole sentence. I got these resin can't fit in the wallet. I'm stacking a bigger deposit. Hit the store and don't leave them dead bodies. Book a fly and get high in that.
They're not critiquing this man's writing because this is his song. He can do whatever hell he wants. That's the beauty of being able to create. My question is, remove the voice. Who wrote that? And that's where I feel like you're right. There's pros and cons of doing this off of the paper and not being restricted by it. I love the rhythmic. Let's talk about it now. I love like the rhythmic part of it where I find like there's pockets I'll rap in. I cannot write that pocket.
You can't.
I had to be like very like, oh, that's a crazy little, okay, let me. So I love the freedom it gives you, but I think there's a balance that needs to be created because when you lean in more on that, I've had verses where it was like, nigga, I was talking for a long time, but I don't know what I was talking about.
Yeah. For me personally, there will never be a better time, flow-wise, idea-wise, creative-wise, than when I first hear the beat.
That part.
And it's so hard to, you're always chasing and trying to grab back that spark you got when you first heard the record. And to me, those are what they're doing in the studio.
Catching lightning in a bottle, I think is what Danny Brown called it.
That is the absolute best part of what they do, is that innate, intuitive feeling you got from the instrumental that felt so good. You're recording it right away.
Yeah.
And you're hoping that when the song is done, people are hearing that feeling when you create the final version of the song. But I do think that there's a happy medium where you capture that and you also are more calculated.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Kanye West does.
Using punching in as a way to create their rhymes as opposed to a way to correct their rhymes. It's I feel it's really just a generational thing.
But you don't think you could end up with something better if you sometimes wrote some stuff?
No.
It's just not for you.
Nope. That.
Do you feel like the things that you have written are in a league of their own compared to using the other method of being intuitive and just kind of playing it by ear?
No, I think some of my most successful records were the intuitive flows that hit me.
Right.
And maybe what I was saying was not triple entendres and multi-syllabic crazy rhyme patterns. And it was more so just how impactful and how easily what I said connected with someone. Ultimately, I always go back and make sure what I'm saying makes cohesive sense.
It's got to. Maybe there's still a way to borrow what a lot of the younger artists are doing, in that they're just trying to find whatever that natural pocket is, and then laying down the mumbles and then saying, in this 4-bar structure, I'm going to approach it like this. But the ideas of that flow were all free. They were all like intuitive, almost freestyle to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Then take that and say, okay, this is now the parameters, the box that I'm going to write in.
Yeah.
I've already figured out the whole verse's cadence. I just need to make sure I fit words within that.
That's exactly how I make music now.
Same here.
Rap has evolved, and there's always good and bad when it comes to evolution. What we're seeing is a lot of the same lane being explored over and over again.
First of all, I'm gonna just say this about this section right here. I heard what Just Blaze said, but something about this helps me to see how important today's engineer is.
I was just about to say, are y'all getting paid enough for these new artists?
Now imagine the arrogance when an artist is like, I ain't giving no engineer 10% of my record or 5% of my record in the distro. Nigga, what? You see the extra work that has to be done when they're sitting here, you know what I'm saying? That you got the studio all smoked out. They can't even see the screen. They probably got, your engineer probably got glasses. He's doing trying to figure out what the screen is.
Yeah.
Your ass in the booth just like, I run it back a few times. Yeah. All right, let's do that. And doing that shit, and they're like, all right, stop right there, punch. That was one word. Punch again. Yeah. Punch again. Yeah. The amount of work they're doing. You don't think your engineer's entitled to at least 5% of that record after all the work that they've done?
The stories I've heard about Young Thug's recording sessions.
Oh, Lord.
There are 28 takes of the song. And he'll be like, yo, go back to take 21. He knows the number.
How much do you think that engineers should get in terms of a record that they did this kind of work on? Punch in. And this is their job.
Look, I think an engineer is equally a creative, just like the producer and the recording artist now.
Okay.
I think all three should be splitting it almost evenly.
Damn.
For this day and age's artists.
Right.
You know, in the 90s, you probably had a single track for the verse, a single track for the doubles, another track for ad-libs, if they even did ad-libs.
Right.
You know, we're talking a whole record had 15 tracks.
Yeah. You're putting your engineers to work now.
Now, one verse has 21 takes, and they're all different.
One, has about 50. Dub underneath it. Pan them left and right. We're good.
And they want you to make it saucy. That's what they're asking for. You have to figure out how to mix it and make it special and put effects and
throw that tune on there, gang.
Yeah, you know, so
I make it a little less T-Painish though. Yeah,
you're producing the record.
Yes, they do get paid their flat fee, their hourly fee. I get that. It's not a matter of if we should demand that they get payment, but you should want to pay your engineer, because at the end of the day,
any nigga that got the ability to make you have a chipmunk voice and pitch your shit up
got a lot of power. You might want to keep them happy. This is one screenshot give this whole conversation, by the way. That's how that's how you know I got PTSD from doing some kind of. I hate engineering for other people. I'm telling you that right now.
I stopped. I did it for 10 years.
People think, oh, they just rap about this, or they're just rapping about like the easy rhyme scheme or the easy. But to be in a studio and write 5 songs a day, 7 days a week about new topics and make it sound different, it's very, very impressive.
It is a sport. Yeah, it is a sport to it.
Instead of one song for a week, it's 5 songs a night, and we keep pushing.
Not that artistry isn't appreciated, but it's more so like, all right, how fast are we getting this done?
We don't come under the umbrellas of the people who write rap. It's like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and I'm just saying that the unprofessional rap culture is what I'm a kid of. Guys who like, I'm just a street cat and I'm rapping.
I jumped out the poacher and bought me a gun.
I just want
I did not know they recorded that next to each other. That just makes a record even that much funny to listen to. You right here. Your turn.
That session looks crazy.
It looks smoke. You can't even. It's so much smoke in here. It made it like it's 720p.
It's about you. Whether you're writing on a phone, a piece of paper, punching in, off the dome, it doesn't matter.
Rapping to me like coming from like how I feel right then and there. Like me writing down ain't gonna be the same energy me saying it.
You can't really hold your technique over a younger generation's head, right? Ultimately, it is about just getting the best end result.
I done got rich off the sticks.
I respect it all because it all takes work and it all takes thought. Whether you're sitting over a pad or you got to spend 4 hours figuring it out, piecing it together, punching in, at the end result moves people emotionally, the art is worth it.
Fair enough. Shout out to the OG. We've kind of tackled the fact that these approaches have embedded within them their own pros and cons.
Yeah.
And it really comes by a case-by-case basis of what works best for you. Everybody is, of course, not Jay-Z. Jay-Z is who he is, and he is the Jay-Z for a reason, right? I do wonder, as people start to have a detachment from the written word, if some of these artists, not all of them, because some of them find a way to really be cadence heavy and it works for them, if some of these artists are playing at 40% or 30% of their actual potential because this is what they came up under. Shout out to that rapper that said it. The unprofessional rap culture is what we were underneath. We came up seeing that.
Yeah.
So if y'all don't like that, it's more of a statement of the generation that came before me because they taught me the way.
First, you gotta decide what type of art do you want to make. As they're saying there, it's about the final product. Is your goal to paint a mural or is your goal to do sketch art? Because those are two different processes, right? And they have their own people who digest it and appreciate one more than the other, and they both serve a purpose. I think that if you want to have quadruple entendres, alliterations, references from the 16th bar to your first bar,
right,
you're not doing that all in your head unless your name's Lupe Fiasco. There's one man on earth doing it, actively not sounding dumb doing it.
Right.
If you want to pop off, punch and flow, boom, 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 like Migos, do that, but just make sure you know what your end goal is going to be, because unless you hybrid them together, you're going to get one result or the other inevitably.
I think it's important for us to identify a stronger why than just, well, my favorite is doing it. See if it's something that actually enhances or creates clarity in the thoughts that you want to suggest through your music. All right, well, those are our thoughts on that. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me what your thoughts are. I would love to hear them, DIYers. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.